And you have the recording on the channel. If you got a chance, you can take. Did you find it? I uploaded it on like on Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah, it's there. If you go to my YouTube. What is permission set in OWD? Did I have it or not? This was what the one before it? The permission set in OWD? Because I didn't put the last week's one. Okay, so yeah, because if that's if because they're kind of duplicates now, because we have taken so many batches and I keep uploading it here, so you might have another video. So if probably. Okay, so you probably have something to get it from. Yeah, the same topics. You'll find another video. I'll try to upload it, but otherwise you can just go through one of the other videos. It's also about workflows and approval process in the previous lectures. So here, let's go back to this one. Okay, and so now we're going to go ahead and discuss the approval process. Now, what is an approval process? As I told you, in the approval process, did anyone remember what is approval process? Okay, so what is an approval process? Approval process is basically in the workflow. What happens is you don't need an approval from anyone. Okay, so yeah, and it's more like an automation. And in the approval process, you workflows is more like automation, and you send stuff. Approval process is also like workflows, but the only difference is there needs in human interaction to approve or reject something. Okay, that is what is an approval process. So in the approval process, we have different stages. Whenever a record needs submitted for the approval, the record gets into the locked stat. Okay, and after the record is in the locked status, it will not be, you won't be able to make changes to it, or no one will be able to make changes to it. Okay, and once it is in the lock status, and the first thing is you need to find out what is our entry criteria. Now, what do you mean by an entry criteria? Entry criteria means what are all the records that will even at the first place will enter the approval process, because you're creating positions of varies from 50K maximum pay to 150K and to 500K maximum pay, right? So when you have these kind of positions, and which all positions need an approval. Let's say the only positions which needs an approval will be from greater than 250, right? Okay, that's it. Then those are the one that needs an approval. Now, but who will be able to submit it? So if there is somebody's whose position is only 50K, you don't even want it to submit. You only want certain positions from, let's say, which varies from 200 to and beyond. So only those positions you want to submit, and then you will see that, okay, because you also want to limit the number of records that enter the approval process. You don't want every single position to go through the approval process. There is certain entry criteria that I wanted to go through. Then we will define the entry criteria here. Once the entry criteria is defined, then you will give us, okay, who will be the approver. Approver can be one person, can be multiple people, can be based on a particular role. So you can define that. And sometimes, let's say, do you need an approval from one of the people, or do you need the approval from all the people? Okay, so then there's another thing like that. So then you're going to define who all. Does the position needs to be approved only when everyone in that particular group will approves it, or the first come first basis? So if somebody just approved it, a first person, I'm going to consider it as approved. Okay, and then once it has been approved, then what will happen is that particular position will go into the approved status, and then it will remain locked. But if it went to rejected, and you can basically reject that particular thing, and then it'll be unlocked, and the person who submitted it will be able to make the changes and resubmit it again. Okay, so that is what the whole process looks like. So in the approval process, you can create an approval process using two different parts. One is the jumpstart wizard. In the jumpstart wizard, what you do is it's very simple, and it's just one page kind of answering. And the other, the standard wizard, you have to answer a lot of different scenarios. And you can, after the in the approval process, guys, you can also have workflow. So let's say if this person approves it, send the person an email. Or if this person approves it, create a task for that person. So you can go ahead and you can add those workflows into the approval process. Okay, so now we're going to go back here and let's say how to create our first approval process. So right now, if I go to my recruiting app, did you, Lata, did you able to solve that issue that you were having for your email last time? Remember, no, you were not able to send emails. I'm just curious to know. Okay, no worries. So here, so this is the approval process. Now, the first thing is you need to see which approval process or which manage the approval process for which one. So if there are different objects that we have job posting, we have position, etc., etc. So let's go ahead and start with the positions here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the position. And here we're going to go ahead and create new approval process. So there are two ways: use the jumpstart wizard or use the standard setup wizard. So if I say jumpstart wizard, you're going to go ahead and click on this one. Jumpstart wizard will start what is the purpose of this one. The jumpstart wizard, the difference is the jumpstart wizards create a one-step approval process for you in just a few minutes. So means you can only create one step, means it needs an approval from one person and that's all. Using the standard, you can create multiple step approval process. Okay, it needs an approval from this person. If that amount is varies more than this, then needs an approval from the second person as well, and you then needs an approval from third person. So you can go ahead and do those kind of things as well. Now, what is the name of the approval process? Let's say approve positions more than 100K. Approval needed for positions greater than okay. So this is that approval needed for the positions which are greater than 100K, and this is the one. Now, we have already created a lot of email templates. If you want to pick up the one that we have created, you could have created your own HTML email template. I'm going to use. This is with the letterhead. Now, what is the entry criteria means? Entry criteria means which all records will enter the approval process. So let's say any position. So we are saying that somebody needs an approval for positions greater than 100K. Now, which all position do you want at the first place to be submitted for approval? Okay, so let's say there might be positions which are, do you want every position? Let's say if you've created a position which gives you a 10K, do you want that also to be submitted? Or let's say we only want to submit those positions which are greater than 80K. Okay, then we are limiting the number. Not every position will be submitted. Let's say greater than 80K will be the one. And use this approval process if the following criteria are met. So we will say if the maximum pay, this is greater than, if the maximum pay is greater than, let's say 80,000, those are the positions that will enter the criteria. Okay, now you have select the approver. Who is going to be the approver? You can basically pick up any person. Let's say me to choose the approval automatically. You can pick up your any based on the email address, based on a role, based on a queue. Queue is nothing but a group of people. Okay, and there's like, just like guys we have seen in some customer care, we have tickets coming in, right? They make a queue of the tickets, and whoever, and then they have a group of people who work on that queue. So once, if that person is free, he will work on the next item in the queue. If the another person in the team is free, then he will get the next item. So queue is nothing but is a queue of task that you can say, and then you will assign that queue to some group of users, and then they will work on those things. Okay, and you can create a queue of multiple people, and you can assign that okay, in that you need an approval from that queue, and that queue can have a couple people into that. Now, automatically assign an approver using a custom or standard hierarchy field. For example, on our position object, we have created a hiring manager, right? That is a field, and that refers to some individual. So here, if you want that, okay, based on who is the hiring manager, you can select that. So if I pick this one, on our position object, we have that hiring manager thing, or whatever the relationship you want to create it. So, or let's say you want the manager, every person has a manager, let him let by default he will have a manager. Let's say if I have created, I would have been reporting to someone, so my manager will be the one approving it. Okay, so then we can decide which person we need to approve that particular thing. So let's say, okay, so now we are going to go ahead and select a particular person who will be approving this. So we have these many people in our organization. Let's say we have let's say Salman Khan is the one who has to approve it. Okay, and when you have multiple people, you have two options. Do you want the approve or reject based on the first response? So let's say there are 4 people I have added to approve that um, particular position. Let's say, do you want all 4 to approve it, or do you want the first response and that becomes the final response? So you can require anonymous means you will need approval from all the people. If you say approve or reject based on the first response, out of the 4, if the first person has or one of them has approved or rejected, that will be the final approval or rejection. Okay, so now that's all the jumpstart with it. Just a one page, you created a simple process, and then you go ahead and hit the save button. Now, once it has been created, you also need to make it active. Okay. Now, using the Jumpstart wizard, see there are a couple things you have missed it, but that's fine. It'll still work. Okay. We have created a one-step approval process for positions. We have selected the positions when we started with the approval process with the Jumpstart wizard. Although not required, there are some of the couple of things they're asking you to go through, but we're not going to go through here. So we just want to make sure that we approve this particular one or activate it. So before activating, let me go ahead and show you a diagram, and that will give you a better picture of what we just did. So first thing is what happens here. First, we define an entry criteria. Now, what is our entry criteria? Entry criteria is if any position is greater than 80,000, that's the position will enter. Okay, the approval process. So here the approval process will start. So if any position is less than 80,000, that will not even enter the approval process, and it will be just, it will never go through the approval process. Okay, so once it meets the entry criteria, it comes here and the position, and we submit it for, there is a button that where you will hit and say submit for approval. Once you hit that, that particular record is going to get to the locked status. Okay, so it will go to the initial submission. So the record is going to go to the locked status. Next thing is step number 1. Now, what is the approval needed from? The approval would be needed from the person that we have selected, which is Salman Khan. If that person approves it, then that record will remain the unlocked stat and the position will get approved. If that particular person, the Salman Khan, has rejected it, then it will go to the rejected phase, but the record will also get unlocked. Does that a diagram give you a better picture of what we just did? This weekend I'm going to try my best to finish the course, and if there is one class still left, I want to do it over the week and wrap it up with this admin batch. Is that okay for you guys? Because the only things that is remaining after the approval process is app exchange and the reports and dashboards. Okay, that's the one topic, and then we have app exchange. So if somehow we missed it, I try to finish it over this weekend, and if that something doesn't work or something is still there, then we can take it over the week. It'll be just one hour class maximum. So this is our, yeah, I'll send it to you. So here we have entered the criteria here. And also guys, there are a couple of resources that I want you to check before going for the in what is called the certification. It's called Trailhead Salesforce. So if you just Google Salesforce practice or whatever, the first stop the link you're going to hit is Trailhead. So they what they have here is they create small projects. You can go ahead and pick up admin from there, okay? And they'll have small projects in which you'll have some points. Go through those uh, what do you call exercises and try to answer those questions, okay? And also I'll send you a lot of dumps which most of the time questions come from those, but still if you want to do it but still you can go ahead and do you have to practice more besides the dumps and all that. It's all about practice, okay? And you already have a the thing that I've given you, the warehouse app. Try to do it on your own on your free time, so that will also help. So all these things will help you to get the certification. It's not that tough exam, but it just needs some practice, okay? And now we're going to go ahead, and this is our diagram. Now first thing we're going to do is we're going to activate it and go ahead and hit the OK button here. Okay, so now what we have here is, this is what we can call it as the positions approval needed for the positions 100K. So now it's active. So let's go ahead and create a new position. Okay, now we'll create a new position, continue here, and our entry criteria was greater than 80,000. So if any record which is greater than 80,000 will be needing an approval. So we'll say we will create a position called Angular Developer. Open date is 27th. Functional area is information technology. The maximum pay, let's say minimum pay is 70,000. And the maximum is, let's say, 85,000. Okay, hit the save button. Now if you scroll down, there will be a button open that is called the submit for the approval. Okay, you need to hit that button. If this particular position meets the entry criteria, this particular record will go into the approval process. So now here it will say, so now if you scroll down, automatically you will see that this particular thing needs an approval from, this is the approval request, these is an approval from this person, Salman Khan. Okay, now when the Salman Khan logs in, he will see that, okay, what all things he needs to approve or reject. And now if I log out and log in back again as Salman Khan, and if we come to his home page, and by default he will also get an email that you need certain position to get approval. You will see it here, not this one. You will get an email saying, oh yeah, because whatever the email was, we have selected this kind of email, but it'll be more like, hey, this particular position needs an approval from you and blah, whatever the things is. Okay, and now if we scroll down here, all the things that he needs to approve it. From the email, and that email will also have the link for this. Okay, so now he will get an email and it will have the link for which position he needs to approve or reject. Okay, so now this is the one he needs to approve or reject, and based on that he can, oh, because somehow we have created the uh, workflows and all that. Okay, so now if you go to that position, let's say this was the position, and now he will, here he can approve it, he can reject it, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now if he goes to that position, he will get an idea, and also he will get an email with the link of that particular position that he needs to work on. Okay, so he will get the link of the position, and also he will have whatever the things, whatever which all positions he needs to approve. Okay, so now if he goes to that particular one, if I go ahead and click go here, Angular developer, and this here he can approve and reject it. So let's say if you go back and approve it, this is where basically the place where you can see some, let's say their position, in the position you have 100 fields, and out of those 100 fields there are only a couple fields which make sense, like maximum pay, or important fields like location, salary, and let's say the open date or close date or whatever. Those are the only things he's interested to know. He doesn't want to know what is the functional area and all those kind of stuff, or the other junk responsibilities and all those. So you can select some of the fields which appear here, and just take a glimpse, he can take a glimpse of it, and now you can approve it, you can reject it, and you can do whatever you want. So here if I say approve, the position will get to the approval status and it will remain, and you can see that there is a lock appears here because the position has been approved and there is a lock. Now if we go back and log out and log in back again as Deepika, now what will happen is that position that we just submitted will go to the approved status. Okay, so this particular position will go to the approved status and you will see it here. Okay, are you guys able to follow? How about Lata and Madhu? Okay, so now this particular position, now what was the maximum pay? More than the entry criteria was, we set was greater than 80K, and then it needs an approval. So now if I go back and create a position which is less than the entry criteria, okay, which is less than the entry criteria, and let's say 50,000, and our entry criteria was more than 80,000. So let's say we create an Angular or JavaScript developer, maximum pay and minimum pay is, let's say, 30,000. Okay, and go ahead and hit the save button. So now if you, in this also you will be able to submit for approval, but that record you will get a message saying that this particular position does not meet the entry criteria, so you don't need it. This record does not meet the entry criteria or the initial submitters of any active approval process. Please contact your assistant or click here to return to this. So now it will go back and it won't get submitted and it will just remain, and it does not need any approval. So that's why it's saying that this particular position does not meet any entry criteria. So whatever the approval process has, they don't have this entry criteria that anyone greater than 50K or something. That's why it didn't even go. Okay, similarly if you can reject it and you can unreject it. So whatever, if I go back here and create a new position and I say it as web developer, okay, I made it for 500,000, greater than 500,000. Okay, and then submit for the approval. So does this meet the entry criteria, guys? Yes or no? Does it meet the entry criteria? Will it go through the approval process? Yes, so it meets the entry criteria and it will go through the approval process. So now that particular record is in the locked status. Okay, submit for the approval. Now Salman Khan can approve it and can reject it also. So if I log out and log in back again as him, and if you go back here, now the record is in locked status. I can approve it and I can reject it. Let's say I'm going to reject this time. The record will be unlocked and it will be in the rejected status. Okay, so then it becomes in the rejected status. So now if I log out and log in back again as Deepika, you will see that okay, that particular record has been rejected. And why they unlocked it? Because you can further go ahead and make changes and then you can submit them again. Okay, but the once it has been approved, the lock has been approved, the record has been approved, it will remain into the lock status. Okay, so this was using a jumpstart wizard, and using a jumpstart wizard you can create a one-step approval process. Okay, but you can create a one-step approval process. But the thing is, if let's say you want to create a multiple step approval process and you need to define, then we'll go through the standard jumpstart wizard. That's the most common wizard which is used in offices and in the real-time scenarios. We know very rarely we use a jumpstart, but you can do things with the jumpstart wizard, a simple one, like if you want to create a fast one-step approval process. Okay, so now we're going to go through again approval process, and in this case I'm going to go and going to use the other one. Right now I have this approval process. I'm going to deactivate it to avoid the confusion. And so now we're going to go ahead and, because once it is deactivated, it does not, it won't come into action. Okay, if the approval process is not in active status, no matter, it won't come into action, and you will, there won't be any approval needed or anything. If you just want to test it, you can test it well too. Now if you go back here, click new, create a position. Okay, the purpose of the approval process, Lata, is, let's say, don't you, let's say, do in a regular time, remember you submit PTOs, right? And if those PTOs are less than 10 days, your manager needs an approval, right? And so those are the things that you're going to go ahead and need approval. Let's say you wanted to make sure that particular position needs to be marketed. So now those positions first needs an approval. The budget has to be approved. And if that particular position has been rejected, then what will happen is those, so whatever the task associated to those, or whatever the workflows associated with those, or those will not come into action. If said, if this position is in rejected status, do these steps. If the position is in approval step, go to the next step. So that's where the approval process comes into picture. It's not about like you will not be able to save it or not save it. It's about, do you need an approval on this position? Okay, and if it needs an approval, to make sure that that particular, it goes through the approval, and you want to, let's say you said, okay, this particular, any position who needs to, has to be marketed first needs an approval. If that is what the requirement is, then you will need an approval process to do that. And if the position gets approved, then only it will be marketed, otherwise not. So those kind of scenarios you will need it. Now another scenario is, let's say, like a deal. Okay, let's say your company is working on a deal, and if that particular deal works on, and if that deal amount is less than 1 million, then certain people needs an approval. And if the deal amount is greater than 500 million or whatever, then it needs an approval from certain kind of people. So those are the scenarios. Then you're not going to go through each deal, will go through the all those VPs. You can define those approval process, and automatically Salesforce is going to take care, because in a real-time scenarios you need approval process, right? You need somebody to approve it, somebody to reject it based on some scenarios. So you can do those things using an approval process. Are you getting, Lata?
Got it. Thank you.
No worries. Okay. Any more questions? So it's basically what kind of things you will need in a company. Okay, you need approval, you need workflows, you need automation stuff. That's what these comes into picture. It's not about like just saving it a record. So now what we're going to do is go to the setup here, and we're going to go to the approval process. Oh, I was showing you that, okay, if you go ahead and, because it's deactive, it won't even be even if you give a maximum pay of 90K, hit the position. There's no approval process here because what we have is a deactivated. Okay, so enabled. The record does not meet any entry criteria or any active approval process, so this does not need, even if it meets the entry criteria, but there was no approval process for this. So that's because that approval process that we have deactivated it. Okay, so now if we're going to go ahead and create an approval process using the standard wizard, so I'm going to go ahead and create approval processes, create new approval process, use the standard wizard, and this is my object position. Enter the name and description of the new approval process. So let's say needs approval if it's a okay, maximum pay is a better option. So if the approval of the position, next. If only certain types of records should enter this approval process, enter that criteria below. For example, only expense reports from employees at headquarters should use this approval process. So if you want, there is a certain restriction on who will be able to enter through this approval process, you define that criteria here. So let's say my criteria is only the information functional area is information technology. Those are the only one who is going to enter this criteria. Okay, if the functional area is information technology, those are the only positions that will be entering this particular criteria. Okay, so if the functional area equals information technology, those are the one which will enter through this approval process. Okay, so this is my entry criteria. Go ahead and hit the next button. Now, when you define the approval process, you can assign the approval request to different users. Means you can ask different people's approval. One of your option is, I'm reading it because there's going to be a question from this topic. One of your option is to use a particular user. Let's say that we did it in the previous example. We picked up a user, which was Salman Khan, to automatically route these requests. So all the requests will go to that particular user. If you want to use this option for any of your approval step, then you're going to select the field from the pick list below. So if you're going to go ahead and say based on what is the who will be the approver here. Also, when a record is in the approval process, it will always be locked, which I already told you. Only an administrator will be able to edit it. So there might be a question coming that when a record is in the approval process, means it has been submitted for approval and it is in the approval process and it meets the entry criteria. That's what you call it is in the approval process. If that particular record is not even meeting the entry criteria, it's not going to be inside the approval process. But when a record is in the approval process, it will be locked. Only administrator who will be able to change it, administrator will be able to edit it. However, you may also choose to allow a currently assigned approver to edit the record. So the person who is approving it, you can give him the permission as well that okay, this person can also edit it. Okay, so administrator only can, so you can select who will be able to edit it. Are you going to make sure that administrator only can edit the records during the approval process, or administrator and the person who is going to approve will be able to edit it? So you can select whichever you want from here. Okay, if you want the automatically approval route these requests, means one of your option is to use a field to automatically route these requests. So let's say, as I told you, on the position object we have a field called the what do you call the hiring manager. Do you want something like that, or do you just you don't want an automatically those? I wanted to pick who is going to choose, who will be the approver. Okay, I don't want to do this. So now go ahead and hit the next button, and only administrator will be able to edit it. That's what I did. What is the email template? You might have created an email template or whatever. I will pick something like this, hit the next button. Okay, now select the fields to display on the approver page layout. Remember, when you clicked on the approve or reject link, it takes you to the new page where it asks you for comments. on that page, what are the important fields you want the approver to see. Let's say he won't have, because he will have so many positions to approve and all that, he might not have time to go through every field of that. So you just wanted to highlight some of the important fields. Which fields you want to show there, you can go ahead and pick up from here. So let's say I'm interested to show the maximum, the minimum, and the location of the position. So where the particular position is, I think we don't have, and that particular field is not there, and the status. He's only interested to know these are the fields that he's interested. Okay. Now here, if you want to display the approval history, like if that particular record has been submitted first time for the approval, or it has been approved or rejected couple times, if you want to do those kind of things, then you can have this particular checkbox. Okay. Allow the approver to access the approval page from within the Salesforce application. Let's say sometimes the user, because you can access an application from mobile also, right? So do you only want approver to access the approval page only within the application, or externally also using the phone? If you want to do that, you need to click on this radio button, otherwise the first one. We're going to go ahead and hit the next button. Using this, now who will be the submitters, who will be able to submit that particular position? So let's say the owner of that particular record, let's say if I have created, I'm the owner of that particular record, or if you can say that who will be able to submit it. Okay. Using the options below, specify which all users are allowed to submit the initial request, for example, for approval. For example, expense reports should only normally be submitted by for approval only by their owners, means who created the expense report, only they will be able to submit it. Okay. So that's why if I am creating a particular position, I am the owner, and I will be able to submit. Not everyone else will be able to submit. It means, let's say if I am the owner, then only I will be, not Will Smith or anyone, because he has not created the position. Only I will be them. Allow submitters to recall the approval request. If you want to recall them, then you can go ahead and click on this. I don't want to do it. Go ahead and hit the save button. So now what do you want to do? So now you have created an approval process. Okay. You cannot activate this approval process until you define who is the approver. Okay. Until you define who is the approver, you will not be able to do that. Let's go ahead and define those kind of steps. Now we created this. Enter a name, description, and step number of your new approval step. So now what is the name and description? I'm going to say step number 1 needs an approval. So does every record will enter this step, or only certain records which have certain kind of will only enter this? Okay, so you can select, if you have a certain criteria, only those record will enter this. Otherwise, all records will enter this step. Okay, so let's say this is the first step, every record will go through, or we can say if the if you want to create a task or anything, I don't want to do this right away, go ahead and click go. So now this is the diagram. Let's go to the diagram. So what is the entry criteria? So if the position is greater, if the position functional area is information technology, that's the only position is going to go through the entry criteria. Okay, not every position will be entered the approval process. Only this one whose functional area is equal to information technology, those are the only ones. Once you do that, then once you hit the submit button, then what will happen is that record is going to be in the locked status. And what is the step 1 criteria? Any positions that is greater than 100,000 will be the one who will enter the criteria. Okay. That's the step one. Which all position needs an approval from this person? Who is the user? Salman Khan. So any position which is greater than 100,000, they will only be go through and ask needs an approval. Any other one will automatically will get rejected. Okay. Any other, if it's not, if this does not meet the criteria, then it will automatically will be approved, because it does, if let's say it's 80,000, 90,000, it will go ahead and approve it. And then if you go ahead and reject it, that particular position will get into the rejected status. Okay, so are you getting my point? The entry criteria is any position whose functional area is equals to information technology will, that is the first entry criteria. Okay, now you can also define which all positions will meet the will need an approval or enter the process of approving through Salman Khan. So only positions which are greater than 100K will be the one who will enter this criteria and will need an approval. And then Salman Khan can decide, okay, does he going to approve it or not. If they do not meet that criteria, if there's a position which is in functional area and less than 100K, it will automatically get approved. Okay, are you following? Go through the diagram one more time. Entry criteria. Yes, if it meets the entry criteria, the whole approval process starts. The record is in the log status. Okay, that is when you submit it, it's in the log status. Then the criteria number one is position is greater than 100,000. This is the entry criteria who needs an approval from this person. Okay, if the criteria does not meet, means if there is a position which is less than 100K, it automatically will be final approval. Okay, and then the record is going to be locked. If it meets the entry criteria, it will go ahead and needs an approval. If he approves it, then also it will become approved. If he rejects it, it is going to go ahead and unlock, and it will be in the rejected status. Are you following? Okay, I'm going to activate this one. Create a new position. So let's say we create a position called um, the entry criteria is functional area should be information technology. Okay, and that is the information technology. And if the salary is 120, now tell me what will happen, guys. If I go ahead and submit it, will I be able, what will happen now? Will it meet the entry criteria? Okay, will it need, Madhu, why did you say no? What was the entry criteria? Amit, what do you think? Yes, it will need an entry criteria. See, Madhu, entry criteria was any, which no value entered. Didn't I enter this information technology here? So entry criteria was if the functional area is information technology, that record will enter the approval process. Now, does it needs to get an approval from Salman Khan? What was the entry criteria for that? Any record greater than 100K, Salman Khan is going to either approve it or reject it. Now, does it meet the second criteria as well for Salman Khan? Yes, because the record is 120. So now if you submit it for approval, first of all, it will enter the first criteria, and second, it will also enter the second criteria, because because here it is getting it because it's 120K, and that's why it needs. So now if I go ahead and hit the save button and submit it for approval, it will say that it needs an approval from Salman Khan. See? So he can approve it and he can reject it. So that is what this is about. Okay. Now let's go ahead and create a second position. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and create a second position, and this time it meets the entry criteria. Let's say it meets the entry criteria, which is information technology, and the salary is 90,000. Now tell me what is going to happen. It will, and if you submit it for approval, does it meet the, will it go through inside the approval process? Yes or no? Will it go inside the approval
Yes.
process? Does it meet
Yes.
the entry criteria for, will Salman Khan has to manually approve it or not?
No.
Why?
Because it's 90K.
Exactly, because it's 90K. So it does not need it manually an approval from Salman Khan. Automatically it will get approved, because our entry criteria said was any position which is greater than 100K will need an approval. Otherwise, automatically will get approved. So if you go ahead and save it and you submit for approval, automatically this is going to go ahead and get approved because it is less than 100K. Now if you create another position, if you go back here and if you say, now tell me what's going to happen. If you go ahead and save this, what if I hit for submit for approval, what's going to happen? Exactly. It will not even enter the approval process, and it will say that no entry criteria meets this, because the entry criteria for our approval process that it has to be from functional area IT. Okay. So because of that, what's going to happen is that particular position will not even go through the approval process, and it will give you this particular message. Are you following? So you first thing is you have initial entry criteria. Okay. Then you have, based on who is the approver, then you have their entry criteria as well. Okay. Which all needs an entry, which all needs an approval from Salman Khan. So any position which is first initial what do you call entry criteria has to meet to enter it into the approval process. And initial criteria was if the functional area is information technology. Okay. And next thing was if it does not, and then it is the entry criteria for Salman Khan's approval. So any positions which is greater than 100K, Salman Khan has to manually approve him it or reject it. But which all positions will enter through that process is the one which are greater than 100K. Anything below then will automatically will be approved. Will not need a manual approval from anyone. Are you getting my point here, guys? This is a one-step approval process, just needs an approval from one person. Now you can create a multiple step approval process as well, which is basically like, okay, if the positions is 100K, then it needs an approval from Salman Khan. And if the position is greater than 150, then it also needs an approval from Priyanka. Let's say that is the thing. So now we're making it two steps. So any positions which are 100 greater than 150, those are the only one will go through the Deepika. Anything less than 150 will need an approval from Salman Khan. Okay, are you getting my requirement now? My requirement is, it's just like PTOs. If your vacation time is less than 2 weeks, you just need an approval from your manager. If your vacation time is greater than 2 weeks, then it will be from your manager and from your senior manager. Okay. So my first thing is the entry. The first we are going to have the entry criteria for the every record. So the initial record is, let's say, if the same entry criteria I'm going to put if the functional area is information technology. That is what my first initial entry criteria. FA is equals to IT. Okay. That is my entry criteria. Now next thing is, so if the functional area is information, now the first thing is, this is my first entry criteria. If it meets it, then that particular record will go inside the approval process. So in the first approval process, I might have another entry criteria for whom? For, let's say, Salman Khan. And which all records will need an approval? Greater than 100K, and automatically which are less than 100K will be approved. Okay, and if it's greater than 100K, it will need an approval from Salman Khan. He can reject and he can approve it. Okay, once he approves it, there is an entry criteria, another entry criteria, which says, is this is greater than 150? If it is not, then it will automatically get approved. Means anything from 120 to 150 or 140, what will happen is, it will only need an approval from Salman Khan. Okay, 100 to 140. If it's 160, it needs an approval from Salman Khan, and it will also need an approval from the Priyanka. That is what I'm trying to explain here. So in the second entry criteria, which all records will enter the criteria? Greater than 150. So any record which is greater than 150, let's say 170, then you will have Priyanka to approve it or reject it. If he rejects it, that record gets rejected. If Priyanka approves it, then it's going to be in the approval step. Okay, let's go ahead and create this two-step approval process. So we're going to go up here. So I've deactivated this approval process. Create new approval process. So we can say what is the initial entry criteria? Let's say the initial entry criteria is the same. Function area should be information technology. So next approver determined by, we haven't decided anything on this one yet. So now administrator can only edit it, or even the person who is approving it will be able to edit it. So you can select whatever option you want here. Now what is the template? The template, you can pick anything you want. New customer email, hit the new button, next button. Now on on the approval page layout, which all fields you want him to see. So you can say the same, maximum, minimum, functional area, we already know it will be in the status. These are the only ones that he's interested. And if you want, you can provide the close date also. And then allow the approver to access the approval page only within the Salesforce. I don't want him to use externally, only within the page. That's why I'm going to do it. Who will be the submitter? A person who is going to create the record will be able to submit it. So now I'm going to go ahead and say position of owner will be the one who will be able to submit it. And then go ahead and hit the save button. And then now I'm going to create an approval step. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and create the approval step here. This is my first step approval process. Okay, this is the first approval from Salman. Okay, that's the step number 1. Now enter this step. If all the records should enter this step, no, I only want the records which maximum pay is greater than 100K. Okay, those are the only one will need an approval. will enter this. Otherwise, they will automatically will approve, or you can select it automatically will get rejected. So let's say automatically it will get approved. Okay. Next thing is who is going to be the approver. So we can pick up Salman Khan is going to be the approver. Okay. And then what is this thing, Lado? The approver delegate may also approve this request. Now let's say guys, let's say you have assigned Salman Khan as the approver. Okay. Now let's say Salman Khan is on vacation for another 2 months. Okay. You don't want any of his approver to be pending till that long time, because you're kind of hurting your system, or you're going to, everyone is waiting on his approval. So he can put a delegate, means he can assign, hey, in my absence, Salman Khan's absence, let's say Shah Rukh is going to be, or another person is going to go ahead and take care of my approvers and rejects. So now the approvers delegate, if you selected this checkbox, then what will happen is person who he has delegated him as on his behalf will be able to approve. Okay. So then he can go ahead and do that. So who is the one who can approve or reject on his behalf? That's what we have defined it there. So now we can go ahead and now here you can say, okay, when the position gets approved, what do you want to do? You can select the approver action here. If the position gets rejected by Salman Khan, what do you want to do? You want to send an email? Do you want to do these kind of things? You can define it here, but we're not going to do it just to make it not let confusing here. Let's say I wanted to create another approver step. So now this one was for the this is for the first Salman Khan. Now let's say I wanted to create another approval process, and then this is the approval, final approval from first approval from Salman. Then next you can say you can create as many you want. Second approval from, let's say, Priyanka, and which all records will enter her criteria. That will be basically greater than 150. Okay. So now what will happen is all records should enter this? No. Only the one which have maximum pay greater than 150 will be the one who is going to go ahead and needs an approval. Okay. Hit the next button. Who is going to be the approver here? Let's say Priyanka is going to be the approver here. So let's say Priyanka is the one who's going to approve it, and perform all rejection actions for this step and all final rejections. Perform only the rejection actions for this step and send the approval request back to the most recent approver. So like, do you want to do, because every time if somebody approves it, you will have some actions to do, like workflow actions to do once somebody approves it or rejects it. So do you want him based only on this, or do you also want to take into the first one? So you can pick up which you want here based on that. Okay, and go ahead and hit the save. Now we have done it. We don't want anything. Now this is a two-step approval process. First thing is it will need an approval from Salman. Then it will need an approval from Priyanka only if the records are greater than 150. Okay. Now final rejection means if this particular person has approved it, okay, then it will go to the next one. If this person has, Salman Khan has rejected it, then it will not even go to Priyanka. That will be the final rejection. Okay. It does, if Salman Khan is, let's say the position that you're submitting is 170K. Okay. So first thing is, since it is greater than 100K, it will need an approval from Salman Khan. Now Salman Khan may approve it or may reject it. Let's say if he rejected it, our second step was it also needs an approval from Priyanka because it's greater than 150. But we have defined the rejection behavior as final rejection. Means if Salman Khan has rejected it, it will not even go to the next step. Okay. If let's say Priyanka has rejected it, then if let's say Salman Khan approved it and Priyanka rejected it, then also it will go to the rejected status. Are you able to follow, guys? Any confusion? Okay. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the diagram. This is because this is the best. Now I'll give you. Entry criteria is any position whose function area is information technology, all those records will enter this initial criteria. We'll start the approval process, the record is going to get locked. All these three things are same. The step 1 criteria is if any position has maximum pay greater than 100K, it will need an approval from Salman Khan. If it is not, then it will automatically, if it is not, then what will happen is it will automatically go ahead and get approved. Okay. Now, first approval from the Salman Khan, and if he approves it, then that will go to the next criteria. If it meets that criteria, if it does not, then it will go ahead. If it not, then it will go ahead and go to the approved status. If it meets the criteria, then this person needs to have approved it. Who is Priyanka? If he approves it, then that becomes approved. If she rejects it, then that becomes into the rejected. If he rejects it, it will automatically get into the rejection. See, it does not, even if the record is 170K, it will not go through the second approval because our rejection behavior was final rejection, that okay, it does not even have to go to Priyanka if Salman Khan has rejected it. Okay, so you can define that thing here. And once he rejects it, it will go to the unlocked. Let's say Salman approved it and she rejected it, it will also go to the rejection behavior. Okay, now you need to tell me if I'm going to active this one. Go ahead and click OK. You need to tell me whose approval will be needed. Okay. Mhm. Whose approval, or will it enter the criteria? What do you think was going to happen if I hit the submit button? What's going to happen? What about others? Lata gave me an answer. What about others? Amit and Madhu.
Can you repeat the question?
So my question is, now if I hit the submit button, what will happen?
It will deny or it will prompt a message actually.
Why?
Because the criteria is not met, right?
The initial criteria does not meet, so it will not even go through the approval process, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So now what's happening here is, now it's not going to go through the enter the approval process. The reason is because we haven't picked a functional area, and even the maximum pay was 100K. That is the entry criteria for Salman Khan. But the initial entry criteria was the functional area thing. So it does not meet the entry criteria, the first one, and we are going to go ahead and get this message. Now, if I go back here and if I go ahead and edit this one, and if I make the functional area to be information technology, now tell me what will happen. Okay. And then, will it need approval from Salman Khan and Priyanka, or will it need approval from Salman Khan only, or will it automatically get approved? What about Amit?
Only Salman Khan.
Very good, because it will not need any approval from because this position does not meet the entry criteria for Priyanka. So it will only go through Salman Khan, and it will, based on that, it'll either approve it and rejects it. So if I go back to submit for approval, and it says the approval needed from Salman Khan. Okay, and let's say we log out and log in back again as Salman Khan. and he approves or rejects it, and if he approves it, so these are the because remember there were some fields we moved, minimum pay status and close it, those are the one. Based on that he can approve it, he can reject it. If he approves it, it does not need any other person approval. Okay, it does not need any other person approval. The position gets approved. If he rejects it, that position gets rejected. Okay, now if I go back, if I log out and log in back again, if you go to this particular project manager, now we'll create a new position. We'll say VP Vice President IT, and function areas information technology, maximum pay is 200K, and hit the submit button. Now tell me what will happen if I submit for the, okay, now tell me, if let's say it needs an approval from both Salman and Priyanka, but if Salman has approved it, then only it will go to Priyanka. If Salman has rejected it, then it will not go to Priyanka. Are you getting my point? So now if I go ahead and submit this for approval, okay, if I hit the submit button, now what will happen is, if I hit the submit button, it says, okay, pending approval from Salman Khan. Okay, now as you know, it meets the second entry criteria, which is greater than 150, so it also needs an approval from Priyanka only if Salman has approved it. Now if I log out and log in back again as Salman Khan and approves that particular request, okay, now if I go ahead and do this, now this will need an approval from Salman Khan, and Salman Khan, if he approves it, then only it will go to Priyanka and ask for her approval. So now the approval will be from Priyanka. Okay, now if Priyanka rejects it, it will get rejected. If the Priyanka approves it, it will go to approved status. Okay, so first thing is Salman has approved it, now it needs an approval from Priyanka. Now if I go back here, log out and log in back again as Priyanka, go to the position, now she can approve it and or she can reject it. So if you go back here, she can approve it or she can reject it. If she approves it, it'll go to the approval status. If she rejects it, it'll go to the rejected status. Okay, so now both of them is approved. Now the record has been logged and it's in the approved status. Now let's say, guys, if I log out and log in back again as Salman, if I go ahead and log in and create a position, and if I am the, let's say if I go ahead and new position, it's an IT, continue. And I also told you who will be able to submit for approval. That was another point, right? Who is able to submit it? So let's say if I have created a position of, let's say, director, or let's say product manager. If he is the product manager, open date is 29th, maximum is 250, minimum is 180, hit the save button. Now you see the submit for approval. Now if I log out and log in back again as Will Smith, okay, if I log out and log in back again as Will Smith, and if I go to the position section, and if I go to this one, product manager, if you scroll down, he will not be able to submit it. Okay, let me see what happens here. So he is not able to submit this position. Okay, it meets the entry criteria, everything is right. Okay, It is, but he is Will Smith and he is not the one who is the owner. Who is the owner of the record? Owner of the record is Deepika. So she has the right to submit it. So if I log out and log in back again as Deepika, now if I go to the positions, if you go ahead and click go here, okay. Now here, does it meet the entry criteria? Nope. Let me just go ahead and make it meets the entry criteria and let's see. If it meets the entry criteria, now let me double check if that approves it or not, because initially it was not even meeting the entry criteria, so it does not go to the, but now if I go back here, you go to the product manager, it meets the entry criteria, it has needs an approval because it also needs an approval from Salman and Priyanka. If Salman approves it, otherwise it'll get rejected. If you go ahead and submit it, you get this message saying because you are the because the initial submitters, you are not the initial one, so you're not able to submit it. But if I go ahead and log in as me and then hit the submit for approval button, I will be able to do that because I am the one who owned this record, and so I will be able to submit it for approval. Are you getting my point? So now if you go ahead and submit this for approval, go ahead and click OK. Now either he will be able to approve it or he will be able to reject it. Now if he rejects it, will it go to Priyanka Chopra for approval or no? Because maximum is 250. What was the entry criteria for Priyanka? Was 150 and more. But if he rejects it, will it go to the other person? Because in our designing our approval process, we said that if he rejects it, it is final rejection. Mark it as final rejection. Don't go to the next one. Okay, if he rejects it, don't go for the next one. Are you able to follow, Madhu? Okay, so he won't be able to if he rejects it, it will not go to the Priyanka even if it meets the criteria, and it will say rejected. It is not asking you to go to the Priyanka. So this is about the approval process, and these are the different phases of it. What I would like you to do is go ahead and create a couple of approval process and try to add actions to it as well. Like if he approves it, do this. If he rejects this, do this, and see how those do, because it can get a little complicated. You can have like long 10 pages of approval process. If he approves it, send this email, assign the task to this person, and then move forward. If he rejects it, go ahead and send this to this person and ask him to change it, or whatever the things. Okay, so you can go ahead and try to do more practice with the approval process. Try to make a delegated approver, try to choose multiple approvers, all those kind of things. So play around with the system. Okay, try to have multiple approvers, try to pick the option which says first response, then try to pick the option needs and response from everyone. So go ahead and do and play around, and because there might be there will be questions on scenario based. He'll say if there are 4 people and you approves it, and what will happen. So those kind of things will be there. So if you have done those in practice, then it'll be very easy to answer that question, and you don't have to ratify anything. Okay, it'll be in your system and you'll be able to answer it. So when I'll tell you what will happen in the exam, you would have gone through that topic. Once the question comes, you would have like, okay, what it is, but you would not have given that much attention because it was just going in the flow, and you would not have put that close attention to it, and you'll say, oh, I saw there was this checkbox, I don't know what you're supposed to do. So those kind of scenarios will be there in the exam. So if you have gone through every screen of this page a couple times, gone through every checkbox, what it does, what it does not do, you'll be definitely going to get the exam right. Okay, so you need to follow this kind of scenario, because there will be some scenario based questions, not all of them, but there will be some of the scenario based questions. Okay, so now if I go back here, so this was about the approval process. Do you want to do app exchange today? What about others? Okay, this was a lot for you. Amit? Okay, Amit says he wants to do App Exchange. What about other two people say they don't want to do App Exchange? It's a small topic. Tomorrow will be a 2-hour class, definitely. Otherwise, if you're going to move two things tomorrow, because you have to do reports and dashboards as well as the these things. Guys, one more thing I would like you to do is I will share a course with you. That's my course. It's online. You don't have to pay for anything, but if you need any help or if I've missed any small topic or a big topic, go through that course one more time. It's just 6 or 7 hour course probably. But go through it if I missed a small topic or something, because we're humans, we might forget. So I'm just giving you in case I forget something, okay? So you will have something to review or refer with if you, in case you think, oh, this was not covered in the class or something like that. You can go ahead and take a look at that course. Okay, I'll share it with you probably tomorrow once we are done with the course. Okay, I'll just give a quick overview of App Exchange, Lata. Just 5 more minutes. Okay, won't take long. Okay, what's an App Exchange? Just like for your Apple Store, for your Android, you have this App Store and Play Store, right, where you can download the apps. Apps are nothing but they kind of improves your system. More of like you can play around with it and you can get more functionality. Okay, it might be improve the look and feel, or you can do little bit extra stuff. So similarly, there is an app exchange for Salesforce. People have created some apps. Okay, people have created some app and they want you to if you want to need those app, or you want to make your Salesforce look more cleaner or more functionality, or want to improve something on it, you can download those apps. If you want to do refer this is the app exchange. Just go ahead and click on this app exchange icon in the drop down, and it'll give you a list of all the different apps. There are a lot of free apps you can play around with. There are a lot of paid apps as well. We're not going to go ahead and buy anything. We're just going to go ahead and see what are the free apps we have. So here there's one very important app for what was that for? Opportunity planning wall. There is an app. Okay, on this particular app exchange, you will see, or you can apply some filters. Do you want Android apps? Do you want Salesforce One app? Salesforce One is the one for the mobile, and you want only the free one. Which editions you want? Means does do you only want which works on developer? Because there are certain apps which only work for some professional or enterprise. There are apps which does not work for developers. So you want to make sure that the app that I'm downloading should work for developer edition. Which languages? These are the different languages they offer you in. You want, if you just want in English, you can have different filters. They have categorized based on what are the apps related to sales, what are the apps related to marketing, what are the apps related to um, uh, e-commerce, all these different categories, finance, IT, etc. You can play around with different apps. The way of, just like you install a app from App Store, you hit the install button, it approves it. There is an extra step here. It gives you a kind of a document along with every app. You can refer the document to see how to install it and what you need to do. So let's say there is one of the app that I wanted to install is Opportunity Planning Wall. Okay. This is the one, app Opportunity Planning Wall. You can go ahead and download that one. Okay, so this is the one, and let's go ahead and see where is the one that I was looking for. Opportunity Planning Wall. Okay, so this is the one, Opportunity Planning Wall. Okay, so now you can click on this particular app if you want to install it. So you go ahead and go through this. If you want to say I want it, then let's get it out. And then if you, there is a demo also if you want details. It'll tell you what are the ratings of the app and how, and there's also all will have some installation guide. It will give you an idea which all editions it basically works on, and if you want any issue with it, or if you have any details you want to know, this is going to give you a quick overview of this. And then this is the installation guide that it comes with. So if you go through that installation guide, some of the installation guides are a little old, people have not updated it, but you still will be able to figure out stuff. Okay, how to install, use, and uninstall. So it will give you the whole idea of all this step. You can just walk through this, do it one at a time. This is an older installation guide, but we will be able to figure it out. Now if I go back here and say get it now, it'll start downloading it for me. It'll ask me, okay, log into my app exchange. Okay, it'll use the credentials that I'm logged in as, deepika.aerp.com. That's the one. And now, okay, it'll ask you, do you want it in production or in the sandbox? What is the difference between production and sandbox? Production is the real time, the live system. The sandbox is nothing but which has a duplicate of the production database, okay, just for the testing purpose, or the developer want to test their new code in it. That's the sandboxes. Anything besides production is a sandbox, like a test data. And now if you say, I read the terms and conditions, and then you hit the confirm and install button. Okay. Install for admins, install for all users, or install for suspects. So if you want everyone to get this, then you can go ahead and pick this one and go ahead and hit the install button. So these are the different so now it is opportunity planning wall. This particular thing has been installed. Okay. And now what do we need to do? So what happens this does is, if you go to the opportunities, which is basically in the sales one, right now you get the list of opportunities. Okay, like this. It's not in like it's the same format. You get a list of all the opportunity. Let's say you wanted to improve the visibility, you wanted to have more better organization and good better look and feel. Okay, so this particular app does that. How does it do? Let's go through the installation guide of this one. We have pretty much installed everything. Where is the installation guide? Where is the installation guide? Didn't we download it? Let's go ahead and okay, this is the one. So let file download. Now what does it say? Okay, go ahead and install it. We have entered the terms and condition. We have given a username and password, all this thing. We are able to successfully install it. Okay, so we picked up for which user we want. We picked up all the user and we have clicked on the install button. And now this part is done. Okay, now it tells you go under the opportunities, go to the search layouts and click on edit. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to the setup and I'm going to say search layouts, but in which one I have to go? Under the opportunities there is a search layout. Okay, so click on that search layout, and once you click on that, they'll asking you to click on the list view. So I'm going to go ahead and click on edit list view. Okay, once they do that, what is the next step they're asking me to do? Then it's asking me to move this button to the right hand side. So if there is a button here, there is a button called open planning wall, move it to this side. Okay, and then what they do, go ahead and I think they told me to save it, which is pretty much they're going to tell me. And now if I go ahead and hit the save button, and now if I go to the opportunities tab, they will also, initially it was only new opportunity button. Now I will see an open planning wall button next to it. So if I go to the opportunities, I only will see this new opportunity was there, but now I only also see this opportunity open planning wall, and once you click on it, you will get a different look and feel of all these opportunities in a better way. You can see, okay, group by account ID if you want, group by company you can do it, group by physical year if you want to do it. So you get it by based on those kind of things. Okay, so it's get a better look and feel. You can say, okay, Burlington Textile has one opportunity, Edge Communication has three. If you want to move around, you can go ahead and move around as well. Okay, if you want to move it here, GenPoint has three. So you can basically have all these different opportunities, and this is meta view, right? If you wanted to see, okay, I wanted to see all opportunities, or I want to see my opportunities, you can get a list of all the opportunities by you. If you want to see new last week, it'll give you a better look and feel. If you want to see new this week, all these things are going to get an opportunity. Okay, which one we want? These are the one we want the option. Okay, so these are the deals that we have cracked. Okay. So this is how you can install an app from the App Store, and you can install the app by following this direction, and then you can configure it in your system. This is one of the apps that I've given you. There is multiple apps that you can play around with, and there are a lot of different apps. Okay. Similarly, there is another app that I uh, recommend. I keep forgetting the names, but this was one. Okay, this was, oh, the opportunity planning wall is the one. Then you have you can get those calendars and different kind of stuff here. The utility one, I think those are called the utility apps. I think it was multi-utility app. Yeah, this was the one. There's this field trip also. What is this app does, guys, is field trip is basically, let's say you have 50 fields in your position object. Remember, we have 50 fields in a position object. Let's say every time somebody creates a position, they never enter the value of close date, or they never enter the Java checkbox. They never say anything about it. Okay, so there are fields which have never been populated, or they have never been used. Okay, so what you can do, this field trip basically, it helps you to analyze which fields have never been used, so you can get rid of those fields. People have never put a value into that particular field. You can go ahead and take a look at those. So this field trip is going to help you to, if you wanted to analyze your fields in that particular object, and you will be able to install this one. If you wanted to go ahead and install it, it'll give you a list of which all fields have been populated, which all fields have never been used, all those kind of stuff. If you wanted to go through and install it, you can definitely do it by looking at this quick guide. Okay, this is the guide if you wanted to open. So this is the guide I have. Okay, this is the guide. Now if you want to install it, we will see how we can install it by, we don't need this one right now, so we'll just get rid of this. So we're going to go ahead and install our field trip app. Okay, so we'll say get it now, install it in production, and then read the terms and condition, confirm and install. All users install. So we are downloading this field trip app. Okay, and this field trip app is for to analyze which all fields are mostly used in your objects, which all fields never been used, and if you want to create a report on those, if you want to run those, if you want to delete those, so you can go ahead and do this. So you can play around with this. So first thing is you need to create a new field trip, access the application via field trip tab. Then to get new, you can go ahead and click this field trip app here. Go back here. It's installing for you, and hit the done button. So when you go to the plus button, you will see something called as a field trip now. Okay, this is this field trip. Now if you want to create this new field trip, you can say, okay, which particular object you want to track. So now here you can say I wanted to track position fields, let's say. So you want to say position fields. Okay, enter the API name or the object that you want to analyze. You can, if you type in position, it will give you that particular object. And do you want all the records, or do you want only positions which are greater than maximum date, or whatever? If you don't want anything like that, you can say save and analyze. Okay, now that has started it and it has completed. Okay, now back to the field trip. Now this is analysis of the fields. If you want to go ahead, wait a minute. Okay, now these are the different field trip, and now it gives you which all, it'll give you the list of all the fields, and it'll also gives you how many times those values have been provided. So maximum time, owner ID was every time by default it got a value. Positions title was always there. Created date was always there. Created by ID, these were always there. Open date, sometimes you gave the value for it, sometimes you never. Days open, since it's a not a user field, that's why it'll always have a value. Functional area, we provided out of 27 times, 20 times this value was given. People never gave a value for hiring manager or JavaScript. All these. Close date was also very rarely given a value. Job level, no one, only 2 times out of those many times they were ever. So these are the fields which never have been used. So it is basically is helping you to analyze which all fields in that object have been used, and you can create a report on that, and then you can say, okay, these are the fields which never have been used by the user, so just what's the point of having them, just get rid of them. So this is another app that gives you analyze which fields have been used and how you can improve your object, and what other fields you can add, and which all fields makes more sense. So you can play around with this using this particular app. Okay guys, any questions? There are hundreds and hundreds of apps. You can play around, you can take all day and download multiple apps, go to the installation guide and see what is beneficial for you. So, but all the way, the process is same. Okay, the way you install it, everything, you have to look at the installation guide and all that is same. There are a couple of, there's another one, multi-utility one. Okay, there is an app called multi-utility. You go ahead and install that. Try to see how does that work. And there's also one for your Facebook or for Twitter. So let's say you go to chatter. I haven't covered chatter. That's a small topic. We can cover it tomorrow. We have chatter. Let's say you post something. Remember on Facebook you post something, you can share it on Twitter, you can share it on Instagram. Similarly, you can connect your this thing with the Facebook or with your Twitter account, and if you post something on chatter, it is just like a Instagram, and people can follow you and all that. It is like a networking, social networking inside of Salesforce, and you can, whatever the post you're putting on chatter, automatically they will display on Twitter and all that by if you configure that thing together. Okay, so there you can go ahead and play around with the app exchange. I would recommend you to install couple of apps so you get a hold of how the app exchange works and how you can install different ones. So the one that I was talking about, one was the multi-utility. Okay, this is the one that will give you, like, you can have calendar and all that. Install this one. Then there's another one, Facebook, or we're going to say social networking or something. Okay, you can go ahead and play around with this one if you want. Salesforce for Twitter and Facebook. So these are the different ones that you can take a look at it. Okay, they are free. You don't have to spend a penny. Just play around with it. Any questions on using App Exchange, or was it too fast? Able to follow me? Okay. Okay guys, so this was App Exchange, and tomorrow we're going to go ahead and talk about reports and dashboards, and then hopefully we'll wrap it up tomorrow. Okay guys, have a nice rest of the weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow same time, 8 o'clock. Bye.